Hey guys, welcome to Cold Film Interview, the podcast where we discuss the films you love but no one else gets and we see if they still hold up. Tonight, we can't trust kids, not even your own kids, because one of them could be a killer. Because tonight we're talking about The Bad Seed. So let's just start the show.
Your Hollywood system stole our sex and co-opted our violence, so there's nothing left for our kinds of movies.
I did not hit her. It's not true.
Klopex? Klopex. Klopex.
Up yours, baby.
Me and Bubba, my little brother, listen to you every night.
Where in the hell are we?
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Hey guys, first thing I want to say is thank you if you've left us a review on iTunes. It means a lot to us. If you haven't yet, please do so. Also, please subscribe. It helps us climb the charts and helps us get noticed, and that's what we're trying to do, I guess. I don't know.
You guess?
Yeah, no, we are.
We don't know what we're doing.
We just like hearing from you guys, and we like to give you shout-outs at the end of the episodes, you know, because it's fun for us. Also, if you're wondering why we've gathered here today, it's because we're going to talk about The Bad Seed, which came out in 1956. It was directed by Mervyn LeRoy. It had a budget of $1 million. It made a box office of $4 million, huge hit. It was filmed in the US of A and has a Rotten Tomatoes meter of 68%. If you don't know what it's about, a housewife suspects that her seemingly perfect 8-year-old daughter is a heartless killer. This was Mike's pick. Mike, why'd you pick this movie?
I picked this movie, one, because my girlfriend kept hounding me about it, and I was just like, it's not a fucking cult film, and I held off on it. And then all of a sudden, there was like a month where like no matter where I fucking went online or no matter where I went, like I kept seeing The fucking Bad Seed. Like I was listening to like 2 film podcasts covered it. Like I was looking around for like whole film news and stuff like that, and The Bad Seed popped up. I found this blog, and they were talking about The Bad Seed, and I was like, okay, well maybe we should like explore this film a little bit. That, and I kind of wanted to go back to the 50s a little bit, like go back to the old classics, you know, try something old to try something new, so to speak.
Try something old to try something new, so to speak. No, that's one of the things I wanted to talk about, so I'm glad you brought it up right away. If you don't know who else is here, it would be Kyle Smith.
Hey, what's going on?
Chris Willenbrecht.
Hey, what's up?
And you already met Michael.
You did.
So I wanted to talk about that because from what I understood, and I don't want to delve too deep into it right away, but this is based off a play then which was turned into a book.
No. Book, then a play.
Book, then a play? I thought it was a play, then a book.
Book, then a play,
then play,
then a movie.
Then movie.
Okay.
And it all happened
then made for TV movie.
in a very quick fashion. Well, not the made for TV. I don't think. But yeah, it happened real quickly. Like the book was super popular, and then the play was super popular, and then they were like, "Hey, let's get the actors from the play and just throw them in a movie because movies are the big thing nowadays, everybody. The old cinema."
This movie is making so much more sense to me now that you're telling
I'm glad
me
that
all
you
this.
know, yeah. It'll explain a lot.
Because, yeah, I was like, what is going on? Like, I'm like, why is this filmed the sets felt like everything felt like a play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They literally built the set and then just threw some cameras up there and did some interesting movement.
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty close. I mean, it was on the Paramount lot, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And I feel like a lot of movies from this time period did that.
yeah, I think there was a moment. I mean, there was a moment with film. I think that goes
Like, just have that like play feel to it where you're watching it from like the 50s. Like, I have that problem with 50s movies.
well. People didn't know, by now the 50s, like the technology was more understood.
I think maybe the point he's making that I can see is that, like, yeah, in the 50s there was definitely a larger use of sets than they do nowadays.
Well, not
Very
just-
staged feeling.
Yes, very stage feeling because it's like
But here's the thing, though.
an overabundance of dialogue to
Yeah.
describe
Yeah.
a scene or set up a scene or set up something.
Right.
I
feel like
think that's more of a victim of it being based on a play
Yeah.
than the film of the time, though.
Yeah, but you're not going to change it for film. Like that's what I'm saying. Like
No,
it
a
doesn't
lot of
feel like it was
films-
changed up for
A
film.
lot of films in the 50s, I feel like, do have that type of the dialogue is written that way that it almost does feel like a theatrical performance.
Well,
And the actors act as if they're
mean,
almost on
You
stage.
had the whole era of film noir of films that were nothing like this at all, though, that you're kind of missing, like where there were.
No, it's just a section of that time period. It's not like all films did this, but like definitely Hollywood, I feel like, used that a lot.
Yeah, does It's a Wonderful Life feel like that?
Yes.
Does that feel like it's?
No, I don't think it feels like a play.
No, I did. I did.
I think it just has to do. I mean, yeah, because it has to do with that. This was a play,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that's where they pretty much ripped the script off of was like, let's get it from the play. I guess they could have rewritten the whole script to like adapted the book yet again for a screenplay.
You know what I
but-
mean? Like there's things that like I feel like could have happened. Like, and I don't. This is
But
just.
this was a popular form. Like plays were a popular form.
No,
right
yeah,
now.
no, and
So-
and I was watching it the whole time. Like, man, I wish I would have saw this as a play.
Yeah.
Is that weird?
No.
No.
Because it's like
I thought the same thing.
because as like a visual aspect of it, it was like they could have cut off the dialogue and just shown you rather than like, oh, what is it was underneath your in your treasure, the lining of your treasure box.
Yeah, there was a
deep beneath it.
There was a few scenes where I chuckled, and I was watching this with my girlfriend, and I was just like, holy shit, like exposition. God
Right.
damn it. You see, I walked through the door there and I picked up a bottle of milk, see? And then I poured it in a glass and took a sip, and then looked around the room confused. And it's like, no, I know, I just saw you do that. I don't know why are you talking while you're doing that?
Before we get even more into it, has anyone seen this movie before? Is this a first time viewing for all of us?
I had actually, and
You had seen this before?
yeah, and for the life of me, I cannot fucking remember where. I don't know, but it wasn't until the line at the very beginning where she goes, or the father goes like, "What would you give me for a basket of kisses?" And like as soon as I saw it, was all of a sudden like pop in my head, like, oh, like I've seen this fucking movie, like I know exactly how it ends. I remember this entire movie. I have no idea where I saw it. I don't even know. I
We're
can't.
gonna get into that
even
ending.
tell
I
ya.
had never seen it.
I had never seen it.
I had never seen this movie, let alone heard of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I had not heard of it either.
No?
But I felt like an idiot when I found out that so many people had heard of it.
A lot of people, a lot of horror people,
Yeah.
feel like this was kind of the start of something.
I think it was the start of that whole, the bad son, or what was the good
The
son?
good son?
Yeah, that whole idea of like kids being the murderers
Yeah.
and like
Yeah.
not really know how to control your kids, kind of thing.
The thing I actually really appreciated to that point too is that it definitely was a movie that was kind of making a dealing with more of like a higher concept at the time, because at the end of it, it even says like this film deals with kind of some interesting shit, like don't spoil the ending to anybody, don't ruin the movie for anybody. Like they even like made a point to like say that in the closing credits. Because yeah, if I was dealing with something that not many people probably had seen in the masses, I mean the play was popular, but I mean that can only reach so many.
And I think it had a lot to do with the whole cast call at the very end of the film, because they wanted you to realize that this was like, these are just actors and they're just doing this thing.
Well, that was
like,
very
But that was a
play-ish.
very- yeah.
Also, that was such a play thing to do.
feel like that was an honoring that the fact that it's based on the play. That's how I took
don't know.
that.
I took it more as like I get that a play does that, but to translate that onto film, like I feel like it was more like, yes, we're gonna do it, but it also serves another purpose, which is to say, this little Patty McCormick is just a sweet little actress.
I
you
mean,
know?
I don't know, man.
I'd like to get into that, but I want to get into it when we get into like the ending of the film
I
too,
feel-
because
I really feel like this whole movie is people loved the fuck out of the play, and the production company basically hired the entire crew from the play and basically filmed a play for film. I don't feel like it went beyond that personally.
I might have to disagree simply because the ending was changed on this film
It was
for film
changed.
purposes.
it was indeed.
Oh, I did not know that. So you know what? We'll get to that little spoiler when we come back.
There she is at a little table, playing with the little dishes, looking cute and innocent, looking like she wouldn't melt butter. She's that cool. Well, she can fool some people with that innocent look she can put on and put off whenever she wants to, but not me. Not even part way she can't fool me. Don't want to talk to nobody smart, huh? Like to talk to people she can fool, like a mama and Mrs. Breedlove and Mr. Emery.
Here's some Excelsior for you. You talk silly all the time. I know what you do with the Excelsior. You made a bed of Excelsior down the basement, behind that old furnace. And you sleep there, where nobody can see you.
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about The Bad Seed. Came out in 1956. So let me ask this question because you said you saw it on different blogs and the internet.
Yeah, I did.
Do you guys feel that this is a cult film? Let's start with Kyle.
I don't. No. I think it's a well-known film and it's a memorable film, and I mean, like, you know, I think it's probably mostly responsible for why the term Bad Seed even exists, but I don't necessarily know if it's like has a cult following, you know what I mean? Like I think it's just kind of an older film that everybody knows, everybody's kind of seen, but it's not something that people are like celebrating, I guess I should say.
Chris?
I want to say it's not, just because it was just such a huge success, and it is just what like more well known, and I think it inspired a lot of filmmakers that came after it. But I don't know if it's a cult film or if it's just a well-recognized, well-appreciated film.
Mike's currently Googling his answer.
I'll go next before we get to Mike because I am in disagreement. I think it is a cult film. And if it's not, it should be, in my opinion. I do. I think it is a cult film because like I said before, I had never heard of this film before. The poster looks familiar to me, but I had never heard of it. And I think that especially with Patty McCormack and the performance that she gives, I don't know. There's something about this movie that just screams cult film to me. And I think there's probably a small section of people who know this film and know it very well and watch this film quite a bit and are fans of this film because it has all the elements, in my opinion. I don't know. That's I'm basing it off of how I feel rather than if it is or not, but I think it is a cult film.
I feel like I'm still kind of on the fence about it. Like I feel a little bit. I'm still leaning towards no, but when I read up on it and I read about it, like you're right, Cody. There are people that know this film like in and out, and I never fucking heard of it. Like it's weird to me that there were like there's a section of people like my girlfriend who are just like, what do you mean you haven't seen this? And then ask a person next to me, have you heard of this film? And they're like, nope. And then ask another person, they're like, what the fuck do you mean you two have not heard about this? You know, like that's how it felt to some extent. And then when I read about it, the amount of people that like they knew every word, every line about it, like the whole, what do you give me for a basket of kisses? Like people like quote the shit out of this film apparently. And I guess it's a subculture of people that probably say that out in public and people are like, see, no one got it. Maybe they meet that one person that did and then they fall in love and they get married.
Because, you know, what's really this podcast about?
It's about love.
It's about young love.
Yeah.
It really is.
So I don't know. Again, on the fence, still kind of leaning towards no, but I'm not sure.
You know, after watch this movie, and I definitely have to reference back to something you brought up during our review of Funny Games.
Okay.
And you talked about how when has a remake ever been the cult?
Yeah.
The more cult recognized one? I kind of feel like this movie would have the potential for that. I personally would actually like to see like a remake done that is less like the play and more taken as like a film, and I'd like to see what would happen because I feel like it might have the potential to like
I don't know. I feel like they'd fuck it up.
Yeah, because here's the thing that I was going to get into that I think where they could fuck it up. The thing that I finally swallowed the pill and just accepted it as the film went on. But was anybody else thrown off by the beginning of this film? And the fact that like it was like, oh, you're just now noticing this shit. Yeah, I mean,
what do you mean? What beginning? Which part?
Like the whole beginning of the film, where it's like no one suspects this daughter of being crazy from the get go, or even like until the dad leaves. All of a sudden, then it's like, no, my daughter's crazy.
Well, they
just
suspected
felt like,
it before.
It just
Yeah.
felt, for me, it felt like out of just fucking nowhere.
Well, I feel like this was still kind of a fresh thing because she was still like the mother was uncovering the death of the old woman that that what was it, their maid,
Mrs. Yeah, the one that she.
it was their maid or something. Like it seemed like that was maybe Rhoda's first kill, and it was now all coming to light, which could have been a year or two.
But, I mean,
prior.
there's even the scene though where she the mother makes a point to pull aside the teacher, the headmaster, and be like, "Is my daughter fucked up?"
But that's not like the very
And it's-
beginning though.
No,
Like, I'm
no,
talking about
but
like, the opening scene.
But what that scene references is that prior to where we come into their lives in the film, the mother and husband have already been discussing the fact that the daughter's a little strange.
I don't know if
and-
the dad has been discussing it.
Actually,
She specifically
there's
says
actually
that.
something. Okay, so I want to it's a reference in the movie to something in the book that I found out about. So there's a whole scene where they're talking about the way the girl dresses.
Yes.
And they're saying like she doesn't dress like other little girls and stuff like that. That's a reference actually to the book where in the book that's kind of a way of saying like everybody kind of did know it a little bit, but they loved her so much that they just like kind of were like just oblivious to it or intellectually dishonest about it. Like they choose to be ignorant on that, but they knew shit was wrong because that quote is actually in the book. They go into a little bit more detail about how it was weird that the little girl didn't want to dress in like jeans and t-shirts like all the other little girls but in her mind it was because she thought she held herself to some weird archaic standard of like opulence.
Right.
And that's why, obviously what happens, she starts killing people because she sees these people as being beneath her.
Yeah, I agree. I think I don't know. I feel like they laid it out pretty well. I guess I just don't think that it was too, if you're saying it was like too unexpected or we're just thrown into a world where it's like, how didn't you know this, Mom? You know, I did think that from time to time, but then I was also kind of like, well, from the beginning, the mom did seem a bit suspicious of some things.
She is very like towards the end of the film. Don't get me wrong; she's very much in denial until like she cannot deny anymore.
Here's the other thing too: the big secret of this fucking film, like the big reveal, is not that the little girl is a fucking mass murderer.
No,
the big reveal is that the mother's
the daughter of a mass murderer
is a daughter of a mass murderer, and that everything she's kind of been like purposefully ignorant towards her daughter about is all now coming to realization that of course it's real and it stems from a gene that comes down and skips this generation and goes into the daughter. And now what do you do?
Yep.
I gotta
because
say,
genetics, you can't stop genetics. Like
it got dark for me at that point. Like I was like, okay, as if having a little child that's so sweet but is actually a killer isn't bad enough. The fact that they throw in that she's like the descendant of a serial killer is like, I'm like, damn, 1956? What?
Yeah.
Like that's pretty heavy.
Yeah, I like that a lot. It added such an additional creep factor to the film overall.
I think it was also just probably one of the only ways that they could explain why the daughter was just. I mean, they could have just left it alone and not explained it, but I feel like they had to give it a reason.
I actually don't think that was a plot. I think it actually worked probably in reverse when they created this. I think that the author probably wanted to explore the idea of evil being a genetic thing that it's the whole nature versus nurture thing, right? I mean, they have that whole big discussion about it. At the time, from the history that I've read about this movie, that wasn't like a new idea that came out. People were bouncing the idea around, but it was something that people didn't like. It hadn't been brought out into pop culture, and this movie kind of took that. Like they said, like, "Hey, this is a weird idea. Let's take it to an extent." And because what do horror movies do so well? They do stuff like that. They take like little things that you don't know you're scared of that maybe you heard about or whatever, you don't really think about it, and they put it into the context of some sort of either supernatural or thriller, and then all of a sudden it becomes a very, very visceral and real thing.
Possible thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like that's exactly what this author was trying to do with this thing, was he wanted to explore that idea.
And then the character of I'm a huge fan of two actors in this film got me to where I thought you guys are mind-blowingly good. That was Patty McCormack as Rhoda, and Henry Jones as Leroy.
Okay.
Or Leroy.
And
Leroy.
both
Leroy.
the little girl, a little history on the girl. The girl had done that role 300 times before she had stepped on the set. Like she'd been doing this on Broadway for a while.
It seemed very sharp and
Yeah.
well
She'd done this
trained.
before.
Like she
It wasn't
was
her
in
first rodeo.
She played
Rhoda.
She played emotionally dead very well.
Yeah.
She did. You know, you guys are gonna hate me because I did have a problem with that. I saw it throughout the film, like, and I was thinking to myself, like, I think it's pretty incredible that she's done this role 300 times and that she's really kind of got this character understood. There were like a couple scenes and a couple reactions that she had that felt very canned, like it didn't feel as natural as I wanted it to feel.
Well, I can tell you about that.
Do you want to go up?
I feel like that's gonna be on her part a little bit inexperienced. Well, on probably all the actors' parts because all the actors were very playish. Which when you do a play,
they're very acting.
Yes, you act because you have to play to the back of the room.
Yeah.
Where on film, it's a different style of acting, and it's you're not acting, you're acting.
And plus, I mean, you know, it wasn't until like the whole method acting movement came into a thing where people were like the whole less is more thing. Like that. By this time, this is just kind of just touching that.
That's fine. Yeah, and I totally agree with that. I'm just saying that was one thing that I did notice, and it did make me think, like, even though I really appreciate the idea and the concept they took on it, part of me wonders, like, you know, how would have an actress with fresh eyes to the role, like, what would have they brought in a little differently to the character? You know, that's what I was thinking the whole time.
I wish they would have done that with the father and the mother because those were the two worst for me. If I can talk about least favorite characters,
really, the mother?
What mother?
Mother, not until the end. She got me at the end. She sold me at the end, but that up until she started losing her shit,
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my god, her.
I'm kind of with you on that. Like, it took me quite a while to get invested in her character because, yeah, she just seems so like, but Rhoda, what are you doing? And then it just and then it slowly descended into like her madness, and that actually took over on screen above the overacting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was like, I think that's I don't know if that was necessarily done on purpose from her acting style, or if that was just a byproduct of being a
Stage actor.
I agree.
I think that's what it was.
So how many of these, before we jump, because we know Rhoda was the girl, how many of these people were from the play?
I figured all of them were, right?
No, not all of them. Not all of them. I
Maybe the mother
listened to the commentary. Which if you have the Blu-ray, don't bother. It's not that great, but I did. They had McCormick on there, and she's like the only one alive, like really, you know. So she was talking about it. And I think the guy that played Leroy was in it.
He's fantastic.
From the play.
It was in the play.
Okay.
Who was it in the play?
The dad had to be, dude. His acting was.
I don't think he was.
Oh God, was he terrible then? What?
But I
why?
don't know. Again, you know what? I don't want to speak on it because I'm not exactly 100% sure. Not everybody was in. Not everybody though.
Yeah, well, then at least it felt that way. To me, at least, from the acting style that I picked up.
Yeah, I feel like there's but I feel like you can kind of pick up on the ones that were definitely from the play world. I think Rhoda for sure. I don't know. Again, we don't have any facts whatsoever. But if I had to guess,
when do we ever?
Yeah, usual episode of Cold Film.
If I had
Interview.
to guess, I would say the boy's mother was she was very her. Her playing drunk.
Portents?
Yeah,
Portents. Her playing drunk was
Portents.
pretty.
It got a little weird.
Not that good.
You know,
Yeah.
she was up. I think she was up for an award for that performance.
I wouldn't be
though.
surprised if she was. She did have the
different
deal.
time.
No, that was drunk in the 50s, dude. That's how you. That's how drunk. That's how, dude. That's how you got drunk in the 50s.
Oh,
You
her
drank-
you got drunk and just went over to people's houses and
Yeah.
questioned them.
Sipping on that old granddad and just, you know. Hey, can we talk about one thing while we're on the subject of alcohol?
Yeah,
Jesus Christ, did people know how to drink in the 50s?
dude. I'll tell you what.
That whole scene where
How
the
many
father
gin and
shows
tonics?
Yeah.
up.
How many gin and
That
tonics?
shit was like a 30-second scene,
Yeah.
and they were like, I'll have another one.
Yeah,
I was like,
she's-
wait, you just had one. Did you just
Yeah,
shoot
it was
that?
just like it's like a tall glass too. It was like you look like you need another, and he's
Yeah.
like, yes, I do.
Well, on that note, I'll have another.
Jesus. So it was just like a 2-minute thing. They had like 4 drinks in the middle of that 2-minute scene.
Hey, man, when it's time, you don't got time to do much. Okay, you just got time to drink.
I was also. I thought Other than the landlord lady, she kind of drove me nuts a
I
little
didn't
bit.
like her.
Oh, I liked her, Monica.
liked her.
liked Monica.
I feel like
didn't.
that was her point, though, was there to kind of be like, you always want it, like, you're like, I hope she gets it. I hope she gets, and then you get a hint of it at the end, and then it doesn't happen.
I think she's there to drive, more or less, to kind of drive the audience nuts and kind of drive home like the
purity of
the panic that you're going to be feeling as a viewer, because as a viewer, of course, you're let in on everything that's going on, and then you have this character who's just she is just the darlingest, littlest girl of all time, and it's just like, no, you fucking idiot, she's not.
Well,
Like,
no, but I think that's important to the storytelling, because I think the coddling that Rhoda gets from Monica fuels her personality. Like, so
I think it's exactly that. I mean, Rhoda is essentially a sociopath that,
Yep.
like, doesn't really. I don't think she understands the concept of love and hate. I don't think she
No, I
really.
don't think so
Well,
either.
maybe hate. You know, but yeah, I think she uses. I mean, like, even the whole rubbing of the face, like, "Mom, you're such a
Yeah.
pretty mom." Like, all that stuff it's so clearly like you're manipulating,
Yeah,
or you're trying to manipulate her.
yeah, she's a fantastic
This is, and
manipulator.
this movie can be accredited to why we don't give kids trophies anymore.
That's what happened.
yeah, I see where you're
God
going
damn,
with
this.
you throw a penmanship award in the wrong direction,
And boom,
people die.
People
kid's
die.
dead.
See,
People
that's,
die.
that's how competitive we got here in
Everybody's
America.
first place because we don't want anybody to die.
Exactly. We're all equal.
Have you not seen Bad Seed? All right, you now understand why everyone gets an award.
No, and I don't know. Like, yeah, I felt like her character wasn't necessary to show that, and it also like it just was so weird to me with the whole like everybody's a psychiatrist.
Yeah, what?
Like,
That's
I've-
just mostly her, I feel
one's,
like.
Her-
one's like a crime novelist.
Her and the one who was like a fucking child rapist. That scene was uncomfortable. Anybody else uncomfortable with that
Yeah,
scene?
what are you talking about? Which one?
Remind me-
Leroy?
No,
No.
the one who was like studying her mom, the mother's mom, that she was talking
The
to.
crime writer? The
The
novelist that wrote about crime?
When he comes into
Oh.
the room, he's like, "You got a pretty dress, and you're
Oh,
a pretty girl."
yeah. Oh yeah, I remember.
She's just the.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to see you go. It's
Yeah,
like what the fuck?
dude, it was weird.
I was gonna say this. It could just be us overthinking it, or me, but there was a lot of weird moments in this film. I felt like that got like where daughter and father were kind of being a little strange towards each other.
I want to say I think it's us because here's the thing. Like, I mean, if you watch a lot of movies from like the 40s and 50s and stuff, I think that's just acting. That's just how it's written.
Okay,
You know what I
alright.
mean? Like, that's just the way they did
wa-
it back then. Like, him holding her didn't seem strange. But like, well, I'm sorry to see you leave. Like, back then it was probably like kind of a cute, endearing thing. Nowadays, you see that and you're like, well, oh, you're gonna rape the fuck out of her, ain't you?
curtsy so well.
Yeah, or maybe it's just been exposed. like that was like.
yeah, that was still innocent back then.
Yeah, well, maybe. I don't know.
I don't think so.
Because I thought, because honestly, when I saw the scene, I thought to myself, like, I rolled my eyes. And I'm like, God damn it! Why the fuck did people used to act like this in the 50s? Like, this is like so.
I was grossed out by it. I was like, this is weird.
I was more grossed out by like.
Now
I was more grossed out by the chick making out with her imaginary friend than
Huh?
I'm referencing.
Dead
Drop
Fred.
Dead Fred.
Oh,
I was like, that
more-
happened.
I'm like,
I was
where
more
did
grossed
that
out by
happen in
that.
this movie?
I don't remember Patty McCormick
Oh, you guys
having
didn't
a.
watch the director's cut?
yeah. Didn't see that scene.
There's a whole side story there. It's your imaginary friend the whole time.
Because that's actually the ending you were talking about that they
Okay.
changed. Paramount really wanted to change that ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just put an imaginary friend.
I
in.
do love that the one person that was able to basically outsmart her
It was the simpleton.
was the simpleton. That
But
was
he's
so
not a
good.
simpleton.
But he's
No.
not.
No, he's playing the simpleton.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a scoundrel.
Yeah.
That's
Yes,
why
he
doesn't he
is.
have that whole speech where he's like, "I know who you are because
yeah, he
I
knows.
am you" and
Yeah.
shit like
He
that.
knows, but he wasn't as good. He wasn't
Nope.
as good. He got
burned.
Yep, he
Got
got burned real
up.
bad.
Well, that's what you do when you make a bet out of fucking packing.
Dude, that's
I thought he was gonna make it.
You want me to tell you want me to tell you where I applaud the actress who played the mother? I can't. Why am I just not?
Oh, that scene when he's burning.
When he's burning and she's like playing the piano.
Oh,
and
it just
she's
gets
going
getting faster and faster.
and she's going crazy because of it because she knows what the hell's going on. The other lady's like, "What are you doing?"
She's
Dude.
just playing the piano, just being a darling girl.
Yeah, like it was like that scene, I was like, oh, this.
I really need to
this
work on
lady's-
my 50s female voice, don't I? That was very
really do.
man.
Yeah.
Very man.
I was like, this lady's gonna lose her shit, and then what do you know? Next thing you know, she's killing her kid and
Yeah.
shoots herself in the face.
I don't know if we want to get to the ending of or
We
that
just
part,
did.
but
We just got to that part.
All right, I guess
I
we're
mean-
there.
Yeah, ship just docked.
let me just say I was very surprised by that part in the film.
Yeah.
I did not think it was going to
too.
go that violent.
I did not think it was going to that way.
And again, you don't see it, just like in funny games, you don't see it, but your brain goes, she just blew her fucking head off right
Yeah.
next to her kid's room, who she's trying to kill with sleeping
You
pills.
know, the whole time I was thinking, like, really, you couldn't have waited like 20 more minutes to do it, huh? Couldn't have waited 20
and also,
more
I
minutes.
didn't think that the sleeping pill, like, there was a part of me, and maybe this
They
is
didn't know
just
about overdose.
I'm
right
well,
there
not
with
only that,
you.
but like the ignorance of the 50s because I'm this I live in this era, that I would thought that like the 50s, like, oh, they'll probably like put her to sleep and they'll just be like put her in an orphanage or something. Like, I thought it was going to be something
too.
weird
No,
where
me
they were
too.
like, I just got to put the kid asleep and then we can
something moral.
figure it out. Yeah, I did not think it was going to be like when I realized it, like, oh shit, she's trying to overdose the kid and kill her. And then when I heard the gunshot, I was like, fucking shit, that went dark. Like, and it was all off screen, and it was still like one of the most
It was heartbreaking
intense
as hell.
shit.
Yeah, and I feel like it kind of came, like, the movie overall is long, but I feel like that part of it
The last 30
came pretty
minutes.
quick. Like, it was like suddenly she's distraught and you're like, okay, well, what other levels of emotions is she going to go through? And then she's like, yeah, basically like, oh, this was great performance choice. But when she was actually handing Rhoda the sleeping pills, she's turned away the entire
she's
time.
looking away.
That Rhoda's taking them and eating them, and she can't look at her own daughter like as she poisons her to death. You
Yeah.
know, I thought that was very.
I thought
great.
that was where the movie should have ended. With
I agree.
with that gunshot.
I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like the stuff that happened after it was like Return of the King shit. It was just kept happening, kept going,
Yeah.
and it's just like I'm like, you've
Well,
already
hold
kind
on.
of taken me on this emotional roller coaster, and now you kind of
Bringing me back out of it.
back to like think like, oh well, I guess it's not a happy ending. Yeah, and then like then the mom's okay. It's like, oh, it's a happy ending, and now the daughter's like alive, and it's like, fuck me.
I want to disagree with you, though. I actually don't think that it should have ended at the gunshot because I think one of the most powerful scenes, especially to show how uncaring the daughter is the mother's like in the fucking goddamn, hospital. And like her attitude about it is like,
She's
oh
just
no,
tap dancing.
mommy, like she doesn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like that's where you see that, like,
yeah, but would you really give a shit if your mom tried to kill you?
Well, she didn't know.
but even
How does she not know? That girl's
I
too
feel like
smart
she
not to
knew.
know. That girl knew.
right, but you know what? Here's the thing, like it didn't affect her
Yeah.
in any fucking emotional way.
True.
And she didn't try to get revenge either. She wasn't like, I'm gonna go kill my
I
mom.
thought that's where it was going, though. When she was leaving the
When
house,
I
I
did
thought she
too.
was going to kill the mom.
And then it just fucking shits. I hate that ending. I fucking hate that.
I was
ending.
shocked that was
Yeah.
the ending.
It's a very odd.
It's just an odd, out of place. She gets struck by fucking lightning and the dock gets blown
I liked
up.
it though.
I hated it.
I liked it because it showcased how after everything she's just this greedy little fucking shitty thing. Like
I already-
all she cared about this entire movie was getting the medal back, and it killed her.
And another thing I loved about it was the very opening shot is exactly on that dock, and
Yeah.
then the very last shot is on that dock.
That opening shot is probably my favorite shot in the movie.
Dude, I was like, this can't be a real place because I want to
No.
live there.
yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that was a set.
It had to be. That
That was
all
a
this
a mat. That was a backdrop.
Yeah, all
the
this
town in
was.
the
But I was
background.
like, where does that town exist? I want to go there.
No, I was like, but yeah, the ending, I was just like, really? She gets struck by lightning? Like,
Yeah, it was kind of it was definitely a weird way to go. But I mean, at the same time, they mentioned it though.
Yeah.
They mentioned lightning and getting
Yeah.
struck by lightning in the film
It
too.
almost felt like, though, like it was like we don't know how to end it.
They foreshadowed with the revolver too, because I like once she picked her up and we walked her into her room, I was like, oh shit! I thought she already had the revolver and she was gonna like shoot both. I thought we were gonna hear 2 gunshots.
Yeah.
And then she walked in the room, you hear her unlocking the box, and then boom, you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Like that got me. But yeah, there is a lot of foreshadowing in this movie. Like they do the same thing with what's it called?
A
What do
lot
they
of
fucking-
exposition as
Wait,
well.
what
but
do they
yeah.
call? What do they call it with the? What the fuck did they call the packing material?
Excelsior.
Excelsior.
That's apparently that's apparently like that was what they used to package.
That was the packing stuff.
I mean,
back
that
in
was
the day.
Go on, take some Excelsior.
That was huge.
Go.
That was huge foreshadowing. Oh, it's behind the furnace where it could
Right.
easily catch on
Right,
fire.
Yeah.
Totally.
You know. So I mean, that was definitely like there was a lot of foreshadowing in this,
Mm-hmm.
which I guess is also kind of terrifying for the audience, especially at the time, because it's like if they were smart enough, the audience was smart enough, they knew what was coming and were like, oh shit, this little girl's
I
gonna
don't know
do
if
this.
they saw enough movies up to this point to know
Yeah,
that.
this could have been in that time when it had been just incredibly impactful. Like, wow, I didn't know anything was going to happen. I think even the
This is like the
filmmakers
Sixth
thought
Sense.
that was going to happen. I think the filmmakers even knew that was kind of going to happen, and that's again probably why they put that last whatever title card in there, telling
Yeah.
people don't fucking spoil the movie for anybody else.
Well, even the whole idea that she beat the kid with her shoes, because I was like,
Damn,
"What's
that's
the big
violent.
deal? Why are they showcasing the fact that my mother got these made for me so I
Yeah.
could tap dance around the house?"
yeah.
And then like you're thinking the whole time, oh, he got beat with a stick because of what Leroy says, and then it turns out that she used her own shoes to beat the kid into the water.
I'm really bummed that I had seen this movie before because I cannot remember my emotional reactions to all of this shit, and it makes me feel like almost jaded to the film. Like, yeah,
Really?
I saw it coming type of thing. It bums me out.
I'll tell you right now.
Yeah, but you hadn't seen it before.
No, you're right.
I had.
I want to tell you how I felt about it though, which actually was very surprising for me because very few like older films, make me cry, like have that such an effect on me. This film fucking did. The scene where she realizes like that her daughter is a killer, and that dilemma of just like, but I love my daughter, but
Yeah.
like somehow, some way, like there's really nothing I can do about this because, and somehow I blame myself for all of this because
It's your genes.
it's my genes and it's coming from me and I didn't know it. Like I started kind of crying because I couldn't imagine what that feeling must be like to love something so dearly and know that there's nothing you can do, that there's something so horribly wrong with it that it shouldn't go on. It really shouldn't go on to live. Like
That's how I
really,
feel about this podcast.
Yeah.
Every day. Every goddamn day.
I
One day.
kept thinking
Just
she
waiting
was
for that 100th
gonna.
episode and all of you die.
We're gonna broadcast it live.
Lightning bolt. Why are you putting a lightning rod in the middle of the table, Cody?
I feel like.
Why are you still talking like that, Kyle?
like the,
Well, see here, we're doing a film from the 50s, see, and that's how I'm going to talk.
What's favorite character? Who's your favorite character, Kyle?
Probably the mother.
Really?
Yeah. I really like
Because
I said.
she
like I
hones
said,
it in at the end.
She, no, I feel like she plays the what did you say? Intellectually.
I said intellectually dishonest. I wanted to say more like willfully ignorant.
Willfully ignorant.
It's
She
probably a
plays
better
willfully ignorant very well.
Chris, favorite character?
yeah, I think. I'm obviously going to give credit to Patty McCormick because she's what made this film. Like, other than the mother, I mean, her performance was great, but I would have to say, favorite was probably Monica for me or Leroy. Like when those two were on screen, I was totally into whatever they were saying or doing or how they were acting or where their scenes would progress to. So yeah, least favorite, definitely the fucking dad. I
was he
did
not
not. He
terrible?
was so stale, dude. It was
Yeah,
like
he wasn't
like
good.
even in the emergency room, he looks like he's smiling. I'm like, what the fuck is going?
Even at the end where he should be a emotional wreck where it's like,
None.
my wife tried to kill my kid and then tried to kill herself. Like, how do I fucking handle and deal with this? He's like, I just love my wife.
Well, and he was like saying, he's like, I don't know how I'm gonna go on living, and it's
Yeah.
just like, no, there's no emotion behind it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was some fucking Captain America bullshit
Yeah.
was going on right there. Like,
Mike?
oh, it's got to be Rhoda. I mean, she's so fantastic in this. She makes this film. Like, I mean, she is the film
she's
almost.
the bad seed.
Yeah,
She's
but
that scene.
I'll tell you what, her best scenes are with Leroy, and I think that's what
Yeah, they
That's-
are. They sure are.
That's what I think speaks volumes. That's why Leroy's my favorite, dude. That guy, I mean, I bought it hook, line, and sinker from the get-go. I was like, this sleazy looking mother, what is this? And just the way he talked was just,
Those shoes.
yes, so good. Not as preacher, not as much Not as much Preacher as you had in there, but yeah, it was close. That was close to it. The shoes, they were such a free. Chris Willembrecht.
He was pretty. Yeah, his performance was very like, I know what you like, an old crone or something.
Yes, it was so good. With that being said, let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk more about the bad seed.
You have some new vitamins to take tonight.
New ones? Are those the vitamins?
Yes.
May I see them, please?
Why, yes, of course. There's some that Monica sent down.
Oh? You know, I think Monica likes me.
I'm sure she does.
Swallowing pills is just a trick.
You're very good at it.
Do you love me, Mommy?
Oh, yes.
Do you know about Leroy?
Yes.
You told me to put my shoes in the incinerator, didn't you?
Yes.
What did you do with the metal? I can have it now, can't I?
All right, guys, we're back. We're talking about the bad seed from 1956. Let's get into some of the technical stuff. I don't know how much technically advanced this movie was in 1956.
Not much.
I enjoyed the music. I thought the music choices were very well. That fucking song she's playing creeped me out.
Yeah, she was stuck in my fucking head.
There was one or two times where it fell out of place to me, but
the beginning, it feels a little out of place. It almost feels cartoonish, but I felt like that was the point.
Maybe, yeah.
Like you weren't supposed to suspect it yet as like a murderous theme. And then you realize every time you hear it, you're like, oh, someone's dying. That person's getting it.
There's always a piano around where anybody dies, one on the dock. Just playing it as he drowns.
Yeah. How did you pull that piano? What?
Like I said earlier, that opening shot to me was just really cool. The way it just like kind of like
pushed into the town.
Yeah, like pushed into the town and like through that tree, that decrepit looking tree.
It's like perfectly
gnarled. Is it
over.
gnarled oak?
It looked
was
like
it a gnarled oak.
It did look like a gnarled oak. I'm not 100% sure because it was in black and white. But
yeah. I couldn't
know
tell
my
if it
woods
was a
by
gnarled
color.
oak or just like a nice walnut.
I was blown away when they said that she was wearing a red dress. I was like, man, it didn't look like it in black and white. It looked like a white dress.
You can't
That
tell.
was kind of interesting. So it was like the only time they mentioned color, I feel like, because it stood out to me. I was like,
yeah.
Red dress. Wow, I didn't even think about
I
color at
imagine
any point in
I
this.
imagine that's what you had to do. You probably had to talk about color a lot.
Oh, that,
when you knew
that
that you
explains
couldn't
more
see
of
color.
the what seems like over exposition. That
My question is, did I see it red from that point on when I heard that?
I didn't at all.
Me
I
neither.
kept
I didn't
seeing
even
yellow
pay
for
it,
some
yeah.
reason. I saw yellow.
I just kept seeing like white.
I saw white.
Yeah,
I saw white, like maybe a baby blue going on there.
I smelled
Like-
green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt real bad for Leroy when he was pushing that lawnmower. I was like, God damn.
Man, technology. Gotta love
Yeah.
it.
I felt sad that he just kept getting scolded by everybody like all the time.
I didn't. He seemed like kind of a
He was
ton
a piece
dick.
of shit.
Yeah.
He was a piece of shit.
Was
like,
he a
why
piece of
shouldn't he?
shit?
Yeah, he
I'm
seemed
sure
like a bit
he
of
was
an
a piece
asshole.
of shit.
He just walked into people's houses.
Yeah, I guess you're right. That was a little creepy. Just kind of let himself.
Oh,
in.
yeah.
So
dude,
Leroy
you want-
here
you
just
want-
doing the baskets,
You want me to
man.
tell? You want me to tell you a little?
Everybody's clothes off.
You want me to tell you a little thing about it? Okay, so in the movie, like Leroy, there's a scene where like the mother's in the kitchen. And he kind of
Yeah.
looks on and like, now that blah 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 blah. A good man like Leroy, like that scene is supposed to mimic what is a bigger scene, I guess, in the book, where essentially like his whole mode of thinking is, I'm gonna rape the mother
mom.
now that the father's gone, like
Damn.
essentially, or at least kind of.
You get a little bit of that.
Yeah, no,
in the
you
movie.
do. It's a hint of it. They don't beat you over the head with it, but I guess in the book it's a bigger
Yeah.
theme, and
Definitely a rape vibe.
and that's
Yeah.
meant to like really reinforce the whole like evil recognizes evil
Uh-huh.
kind of thing.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think we do get the rape vibe, but I would attribute it more to the way he looked when he was saying it, or how, you know what I mean?
I attribute it to the things he was saying.
Yeah.
I guess it was just so innocent
The
that
stuff-
it just blew past me.
They're so innocent. Now that the husband's gone, it's time for Leroy to move in. It's like, no, that's really rapey.
Yeah, it's about as
I don't know how you get around that. That's
Pretty
not innocent.
I was thinking,
Maybe he was
thinking innocently, like fall in love with Leroy, like fall in love with me and have beautiful children together.
Oh, you're such a delicate flower.
I
You
think I
are.
was watching Disney movies all the time.
Oh,
No,
man.
Leroy doesn't seem like the roses and chocolates
Yeah.
kind of guy to me.
He's a more forced entry kind of guy.
Oh man.
In so many ways.
So wrong. So wrong.
Oh shit.
Okay, you're right.
Was there any technical stuff that stood out to you guys?
Not really. The only thing that I like
Because it was shot like a play, so that's why.
exactly, and again, like going back to like the only gripe I had was because it felt like a play. Like every shot, well, I shouldn't say every shot, but pretty much all shots are done from the same angle. Like they never like do like 180 degree a reverse shot in any way in the film, except when they're looking out the window. It's the only time you see what that side of the apartment actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I guess it shouldn't bother me a whole lot, but at the same time, it was just like if you guys had like done this on a set, you could have made it a little more dynamic, but still kept the play vibe.
I just wish they got out of the house a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like, like when they did get out, when she went to like that little day camp thing,
Picnic.
was that a picnic?
Yeah, Leroy even said, "We didn't have no picnics in my day."
All right. Well, yeah, whatever it was. Like anytime they got out of that room, I was like, cool, something else. Like whether it was in the yard or down in the basement,
Yeah.
or even outside the door when she's putting the shoes in the incinerator, I'm like, cool, just like out of that room for once.
that shot when she's putting the shoes in the incinerator might be the best shot in the whole
a
movie.
great shot.
Yeah.
It's
It is.
creepy.
Because the mother's just sitting there like devastated in the
Just
background,
staring,
Yeah, well,
I don't know. I was thinking about it. I think probably actually one of my favorite shots is when she's in her rain slickers, like walking down the street, dragging the flashlight along the fence
yes.
post, and it's just going, and she's just kind of like humming. I think she was humming that song, right?
She was.
And I thought that scene was. I think it was lit and shot really well because it's raining and it's nighttime, but she just, she's just popping out, standing out of the darkness, and still looks like bright and like
and she goes right
angelic
under,
and shit, and
right
then
under the arch of the trees too, that like frame her in as she's going down the exact middle.
but
of
also
the
has the
street.
creep factor as a part of it, because then it's just still like this horrible person. You don't know where she's on her way to, but it's probably not good wherever she's going. That was the vibe I got. So
And
that
I
was
was like,
a great
she's gonna
shot.
go kill that mom. That's what I thought. That's what that told me.
I thought that too.
I got a creep factor to talk about before we maybe come close to ending this. I want to get to it. Let's talk about that cast call.
at the end.
Yeah. Let's talk about that cast call.
Oh, where she
Okay.
spanks her?
That's a fucking weird.
That's a weird thing. I thought
That's
so
a
too.
weird thing to do. Like, I get that they're trying to say, like, in real life, we're going to pretend like, okay, so now we're people again. Now we're actors, and we're going to kind of, like, pretend like we're going back into character. And I'm going to do what all of you out there probably thought you wanted to do, was just
Yes.
this girl needed a good spanking.
Yes, it's
Like,
a,
and it was, I get the joke, but fucking did not.
it's a way to lighten the mood. That's why I was saying earlier why
Yeah.
I think it was like this was some heavy shit at the time, and they needed to be like, we're just acting. It's fun. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
for fun. We're just telling a story. So doing that, like spanking the child, it's like, oh, haha, every horrible thing I just witnessed is now okay.
Right,
You know?
right,
So-
right. It's such a weird thing. To think that a movie would have to do that. It's not in an era that we live in where,
No.
it's
They
not like
don't
at the end of Funny
apologize.
Games, they were just like, hey, everybody, just so you know,
It's like-
this never really happens. People don't just kill for no reason. Normally, like you would it's assumed that, like, no, people actually do kill for no reason.
Yeah.
You're not safe. Please go out and buy guns and hold yourself up in a safe room for the rest of your life and never walk
Yeah,
out of it.
That became very clear the last 5 decades.
Yeah.
Well, like I think the 60s and 70s really had a nice cropping of serial killers doing terrible things.
Yeah.
It's like the world got a little wiser. Still a little innocent in the 50s.
All right, guys, let's rate this Mammer Jammer. What are we rating it, Mike?
What about Excelsior?
Just like a pile of hay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we can't find a shot of actual Excelsior, it's just a shot of Stan Lee, like Excelsior. Like,
Or could it just be like Alka-Seltzer or something? Like,
What?
What does that even mean?
That doesn't even
Yeah.
make sense.
sounds like Excelsior.
I like the Stan Lee thing. But
Chris
you know
does
what? We'll
comedy.
let you. You're the artist. You go ahead and do it.
Chris does a new podcast coming next week. Chris does comedy.
Alka-Seltzer? Anyone? Anyone?
Crickets.
Let's start with Chris.
Okay. First time seeing it, I'm really excited that I got to watch it because I remember as a kid, I used to check out this book from the library all the time that was like horror movies, and it would go back to the early days of horror. And Bad Seed was always the one that stood out to me. Like, I'm like, I got to see that. What's up with this creepy little girl? You know what I mean? So it took a long time to get here. But I enjoyed the film. You know, I don't think I loved the film, but I definitely enjoyed it, and I know why it's important in cinema, and I see influence in other directors coming from this film, so I love that. Obviously, everybody did a great job. They just translated from stage to screen and added a little few tweaks in there here and there, but, you know, overall, I think it's a pretty solid movie that everybody should check out as far as classic horror or thriller goes. It's dark for 1956, yeah, I was impressed. But I'm gonna probably stick at a 4 for this one, just because I felt that it was a little long. It was 2 hours long. I feel like maybe it could have been an hour 30, an hour and 45. I did get a little drained after a while, but once that ending kicked in, it was amazing. So check it out, and that's for Alka-Seltzer. What the fuck was that shit called? Excelsior. 4 bales of Excelsior.
I was thinking coming bales.
What is it?
I don't
bushels, 4 bushels of
pile.
Excelsior.
Is it a pile? Is it a bed?
I don't
a
know.
bed of
There's 4 of
Excelsior.
them. Kyle?
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, I had seen this movie before, but I completely forgot that I'd seen it before, and I, for the life of me, still can't remember where or why I saw this movie before. But I enjoy this movie. I think it's a fantastic thriller from a bygone era of the 50s, and I don't feel like there's been a whole lot of films from that era that I've seen that have been really touched on some legitimately terrifying concepts. And I think, this one, the concept of your daughter basically being the spawn of a serial killer by proxy of your own genes, I guess, is pretty creepy. So, that being said, there are some things I didn't like about the film that kind of stuck out, and I think it's probably because the second viewing, it wasn't as fresh and new for me. Like I've already mentioned, like the fact that it's a play, but they basically carbon copied the play onto screen with the exception of the ending and maybe a few things. And that some of the acting felt like they were acting in a play, not acting for film. But that being said, I'm going to go with a 3 on this one. I think it's a really enjoyable film, and you guys should check it out.
All right, I will say that, man, the first, I would say, 45 minutes of this film I hate. I don't enjoy it. It's too slow. It's too much exposition. It's just too much. But when those last minutes kick in, those last other 45 minutes, it feels like.
Yeah.
But
when the other hour and a half of the film
it gets really, really, really good. To the point to where like I kind of want to go back and watch again just that end part. I'm gonna go with I kind of agree with just everything you guys said, so I don't want to go like beat a dead horse on this one, but I'm gonna go with a 3.5 on this one. I think it's a solid movie. It's definitely, in my opinion, a cult film, just because not only the performances, but again, the subject matter alone that it touched in 1956 of your kid could be a killer is kind of fucking crazy. So, 3.5. Excelsiors.
Excelsior!
Mike!
It's like a car model.
I'm gonna give this 4 Excelsiors. It's a really good film, and it really, I mean, for me, elicited a lot of deep-rooted fear and emotion. Like I rarely cry at we watch cult films all the time. I rarely find one that I cry at. This one I did. I just could really feel the mother's angst and pain and the idea that something that you love so dear, like just had, like, you see, you ever see those kids? You're like, man, something ain't right with that kid. Like, and she does such a good job of just kind of being like, man, I don't know, she's okay, right? Like, she's okay, right?
She's always looking for somebody to be like to validate that the kid's fine.
And everybody's like, yeah, of course, she's fucking beautiful. Of course, she's beautiful. You're good. But she knows something's wrong, and then to find out to hit so hard where it's the worst thing that could possibly happen. And not only that, but like, you know, we didn't talk a lot about it. We talked about her being drunk and whether or not it was really effective or not. But fuck, to have
the mother of the dead child
continually come over and like beg for your help, and you know, like even and she might be the only one on your side where she's like, I don't think there's something right with your daughter right now. Fuck, that's some deep shit. And then it ends in such a deep way. I will agree with you, Cody. God damn, the first 45 minutes. It takes a while to get there.
Yeah.
And when you get there, it's like a roller coaster. It just goes like, okay, we're going to get to the fucking top, or like, and then it's just like kind of like, but yeah, it's a wonder film. I would definitely request. No, not request.
Request?
No.
You can request it.
I can request it. Well, I already did that because
Top
that's
10.
where we're doing it. I would definitely suggest this film to anyone. It's a fantastic film, and yeah, I'm going to give this a solid 4 Excelsiors.
All right, guys, there you have it. That's our show for this week. Make sure you follow us on social media at @CultFilm_Review on Instagram and on Twitter. You can also follow us on Facebook. Go to the website. All of our episodes are on there. We got way more episodes than we do on iTunes. People keep on saying, like, why don't you do this movie? Why don't you do this movie?
Yeah, what's up with that?
Yeah, it's like, we've done it. It's just not on
Go
iTunes.
to the website.
Go to the website.
Go to the website.
I can't believe you guys haven't done Toxic Avenger yet. I can't believe
That was
it.
the first episode.
First
Yeah.
goddamn
Guess what? We
episode.
Look
did
it
it.
up. Google it. Leave us a review
Got
on
so
iTunes.
angry there.
Yeah, I know. Leave us. It's them goddamn Satanists getting us all pumped again. Leave us a review on iTunes, and we will give you a shout out at this point in the show. So let's do that right now. Oh, you didn't do it.
I was
man.
so excited.
I was ready to give you all shout outs.
That's on you, audience.
Yeah, we're looking at you.
Just booed our audience.
We shamed
No, we
them.
didn't.
That's bad.
We shamed them.
We didn't.
Yeah.
We, no.
We shamed them.
You know, we didn't boo our audience. We booed the people that didn't leave
You
a
awed
review.
them.
You can follow Kyle.
You can follow me on Instagram at @cultfilm_Kyle.
You can follow Chris.
@cultfilm_Chris on Instagram.
And you can follow Mike.
You can find me at Mike Salustio on Twitter.
Find you
Yeah.
or follow you.
Both.
Yeah, you can find me. You hear me talking about shit.
Be more likely to find
I
him
tweeted
there
about you the
Would
other
you?
day.
You
Tweeted
tweeted-
about you.
than on the street.
Why
or
did you tweet
something.
about me?
Maybe you should, maybe if you followed me on Twitter, you would know.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Sorry.
And there's half our audience. All right. And you can follow me at VHS Collect on Instagram. That's our show for this week, guys. Just remember, if you're going to join a cult, make sure they watch good movies. We'll see you next week.